circumstances and situations. When we started to go through our awakening, we got attacked in the most incredible of ways. And at the time, I didn't know what was going on. And this was a lot of when my search results. Like I said, I'm in this very unique situation where I can use myself as proof and an example, and of this awakening, and that it's real. And I don't mind doing it, and I'm definitely not afraid about being attacked by archons and demons and stuff like that. That doesn't bother me at all. So that drives them crazy, and they come at us a lot, and the rules of engagement are here that they have to give you a sign or synchronicity to tell you that they're attacking. But like, we say a lot of people don't realize this, and then their day goes south and they're feeling irritated. And
I think you mentioned your sign was 666, wasn't it?
Well, I guess on a subconscious level, I had picked that because everyone
has their own thing that relates to them. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the most common things is that 666 represents, evil or the devil or this and that.
I think from the Bible.
Mm-hmm. So it's not a biblical thing for me. It was more of a practical thing. That's a good sign for me to pick to let me know if something is going to attack. And how I knew that this was working this way was at one point I tried to because I get 3-digit synchronicities like crazy all day long. And I was being able to play with what they meant in my mind and seeing it in real time. And one of them was 666. I wanted to reassign that to something positive, but then I thought, and I had a conversation with Tom about it, and it turns out that I would have been giving up a very obvious cue. So I stuck with it, and it does work that way.
You detail in your blogs or articles that they do suck your energy when you're in a negative vibrational frequency.
Considered to be alien to this reality, but at the same time, some schools of thought say that it is clones of the demiurge itself that maintain humanity in a low vibrational situation, so that they can basically like a farm, so that humans can be mined for their negative energy. Representative of a negative force hacking reality and turning everything, basically the same theme. Something was created, this thing we might call Saturn, demiurge, Satan, father time. All of this stuff is interconnected, and reality as we were supposed to experience it in this density it was supposed to be we were supposed to get our lessons in positive ways, but in something went wrong here. Something happened where either the demiurge went parasitic, or a negative alien, force and had hijacked our reality here. Something negative happened, and these are these words: archon, jinn, demon. They're just different words essentially to describe the same negative force at the end of the day. So this negative force that I'm interacting with, the only thing that when they attack, the only thing I have to go on is what these attacks, what do they consist of, like how do they work, and then back tracing all of that through research, looking at Tom's materials, seeing what fits, looking at Carla Ruckert, who from the Law of One. I don't know if you've read the Law of One, and they talk about a negative alien force as well.
Can I ask, how do you sense them? Do you feel them? Do you see them? How do you sense?
Okay, so the first thing that will happen is I will start to see a 911, and I'll get this more than the rules are for me that I have to see a synchronicity more than once. The 911 is a heads up. So I'll see a 911 and I'll think, okay, I need to have increased awareness if I see it twice. And my wife, same thing will happen to her. And then we will start, depending on the circumstances. Now, there's not always what I call a psychic or mental attack. We'll start to see a 666. And the first 666, I normally, okay, that's okay. It could be OCD. I'm just happening to notice the 666, so I'm not going to just jump the gun and assume it's an attack. So I want to see more than once. But then, they have to be like, Carl Jung says it has to be meaningful coincidence. Like, like passing by the same sign that has 666 on it every day is not very, it's not much of a coincidence. I know I'm going to be driving by it. So, and they will happen, like the one that I've written about recently in the article when I was at Denny's. You pull into the parking lot and there's a 666 right in the parking lot. So I'm like, okay. And I took a picture of it because this has been my new thing, is documenting this. And then we go in and we eat real quick and then we leave. And as I pull out, right next to me, a truck pulls up with a 666 on it. And that's a little like, that's pretty, the chance of that happening is pretty slim. So that's a good indication that something is incoming. Now, I have noticed that their first route of attack is through I have a toddler. I have a 3-year-old daughter. And this happens all the time, and I'm probably going to start filming it too. After we get these signs, she's usually the first to get fixated unnaturally on something. She'll start to get fixating on a park, wanting to go, and she'll just keep repeating it and repeating it. And then she starts screaming, and then she starts, yelling and going and becoming hysterical about whatever she's fixated on. That will cause my wife to get nervous, and then these drop in frequencies happening. And then as this is going on, I'll start talking to her and asking her how she's feeling, what she's thinking, and she'll start describing these negative thoughts that'll go through her mind, and then I'll start to get hammered down. I having experienced a very elevated frequency, and having been on the whole spectrum when it comes to this, when I've been vibrating at my highest, and reality literally looks like it's made of glitter, and then coming back down and stuff. I know what thoughts are coming from my higher self, and I know which thoughts aren't. So these negative, chaotic, my higher self has no reason to sit there and spoon feed negative, crazy, chaotic thoughts in my mind. And I keep a pretty even disposition. So I look at the polarity of the thoughts and the craziness of them, and that's how I determine if what kind of entity it is. And for the most part, these ones are a little bit hardcore. So these thoughts that start to come through they're really bad. They're really negative. They're really nasty. And it's all up to us, on how we act with this. So my wife and I will coach each other through, because these thoughts are accompanied with this feeling that literally feels like, it's like as if you just started to shut down your chakras, like from your crown, third eye, just downward, down into your belly, and your energy is just like doesn't have anywhere to go.
So the thoughts are coming into your head. One could call it, my mind's going crazy with negative thoughts. Yeah, you observe it and say that's not me, and get rid of it.
Yeah, essentially. I've come up with tactics, being able to shift my attention and my focus if something comes in, and I can detect right away if it's going to be negative. So I'll shift my own speech synthesis, I guess if you want to call it that, over to start talking about something that's more pleasant.
So basically pivoting,
yeah, just and keep just distracting away from this negative thought. A lot of people they'll want to ground themselves. They'll look at like maybe black, and they'll breathe. They'll do breathing exercise. Any technique that we use to calm our inner mind essentially will work. Keeping calm, realizing that these aren't you, that's the big one. Because awareness, when it comes to these entities, awareness is everything. It's literally everything. Having, like you say, an awareness of if these voices are us, or if they're, and most of us, we can say with confidence, you look at your own routines, you look at my routines, my wife's routines, we don't we carry ourselves through life in very kind ways, and for the most part, and things like that. So these crazy negative thoughts they don't reflect who we are. So they're literally, they are very foreign.
Otherwise, and they are playing on your fears as well. So your potential fears are completely different to mine. So it's very cleverly disguised.
Yeah, there is at the end of the day, everything is energy, and so there's really no space. Time is just something, how we sequence experiences. So to these things that fall out of our what we see in terms of the electromagnetic energy spectrum is a very small amount. As anybody who's watched David Icke, he talks about this frequently. So we're literally blind here, and these we call them electromagnetic parasites, are functioning in a way where they, as Tom will say, he says that they have essentially tools and techniques to analyze our probabilities. Like if we're probable to react negatively to a certain situation or circumstance, then they kind of push and prod you. They can't decide for you. They have to kind of make you decide. And if our world is structured for the benefit of them obtaining what Robert Monroe called loosh, which is that that energy that we leak, and our world being manufactured to, like a farm, literally, to support that output. Everything that we experience and everything that we do will be related to that. And then you take a look at the world and you see how chaotic. You read the news sites and the headlines are all negative and nasty.
Control.
Yeah, and you know, well, it is control, and that because fear is the currency of control. You've got
Oh, I'm going to write that down. That sounds good.
Oh, yeah. So you've got you know, a lot of intentional subconscious programming. You've got MK Ultra. You've got it's literally, and that is the expression of this negative energy. That's an expression of the negative forces that are doing this to us. Is all of that is the mind control and all of the stuff going on in this world and all the conspiracies, which I've come to discover conspiracy truths.
I mean, I do believe that as well. But if we do create our reality, how are we creating these negative experiences? Are we creating them?
This is where the subconscious programming comes in. You know, let's think about from a child's perspective. We come out into the world and we are programmed we're programmed with the belief systems of the people we're brought up around. We're not given choices. We're patterned, we're molded, we're shaped a little bit by those who came before us, and then we go out into media and we start getting programmed by this. They use a lot of tactics when it comes to film and movies and television shows to the act television itself, and right down to the refresh rates of the screens will put you almost in a hypnotic trance. And when the conscious mind is moved aside, the subconscious can be programmed with anything, and you're not even really going to be aware of it. You know, these people with the worst problems and the most, you know, you don't see, and people like, you know, you don't see yogis or any, you know, people that can teach inner harmony. They're not at all elevated. Anybody that comes with a message of love is knocked from the stage.
Yeah,
you know,
interesting. The most interesting thing is we think we can discipline our children in certain ways, and it's our choice. We send our children to certain schools. It's our choice. We're actually conditioned. We're not choosing freely.
No,
and that's a hard concept to grasp. But when you think about it, you're either conditioned from society or your environment or your parents. We're not actually making our own choices.
No, not at all. And that's basically how it comes about. So you've got, you know, and then school's a great place for indoctrination. I mean, they take you away from your parent, who's the protector, you know, because of these reasons that education isn't education anymore. There's no critical thinking. It's gone. It's just, this is what we want you to believe. And this is, you know, and then you're taught this blind obedience to these authority figures that just tell you, you know, now you got this, you know, you got, like, for a kid to go to a doctor, oh, the doctor's there, he knows more than me, he's got letters by his name and he went to school, so everything he says is, you don't ever think to consider that he might be acting on for his own self-benefit, like when it comes to pharmaceuticals and kickbacks. Doctors over here telling you, a young kid, hey, this super hyper addictive drug is gonna fix you, you know, and you're like, okay, and you told me that I'm sick, and doctor, I just want to get better. So, and he's like, yeah, you know, writes you the script and then fills out his paperwork and gets his kickback, you know, and things like that. So it's
without questioning. Yes. Everything you've been told is a lie. I think that's the,
and so you just, yeah, I mean, and you just end up coming out as an adult and just going through until something eventually happens. And then, man, and so this reality that, you know, discovering that it isn't anything what we believe it is quite.
We think that we are making our own choices, but in fact we're actually not.
Yeah, yeah.